Hi, everybody. So in 2019, I got a dream job hosting a kids television show for Disney Plus and National Geographic Kids. The show was called Weird But True. It was a science show for ages like 8 to 11, and the first couple months making this show were like insanely fun. We went to Utah and we dug up dinosaur bones. We went to Louisiana and we saw the facility where they're building rockets that are gonna go to Mars. We went to Scranton and I operated a steam train. Just like adventure after adventure. And halfway through the season, the producers come up to me and they're like, we need to change what we're doing for the final episode. We want to do a scuba diving episode because Charlie, the co-host, is scuba certified, our camera people are certified, the director is certified. You're the only one that's not certified though. So in order to do this episode, we need to know, are you willing to be scuba certified? And my first thought was, I am absolutely unwilling to be scuba certified. Like, to give you context, I wore aqua socks at the beach until I was like 14 because I didn't want my plain toes just like wandering in the waters. Like, I don't know what's down there. What? Also, I have anxiety, so I have a hard enough time breathing on land, like, let alone underwater from a tank on my back. Like, this is not for me. But I thought, like, I'm afraid of the ocean and I have anxiety, like, weren't good enough reasons to derail the production of this episode. So I was like, yes, sure, I'll do it. So for the certification, you start with pool training. So I did my pool training at a pool in Jersey at the YMCA. And the pool training involves like learning all the gear. It's like, this is the regulator. This is how you breathe underwater. This is how you figure out how to put your mask back on underwater if it is viciously ripped off your face during a dive. Like, these are the things you're learning. Like, all these little like tips and tricks to have in your back pocket, like in case things go wrong and you need to save your own life. It's just not good for me. Like, I remember taking the first breath from the regulator underwater, and it's counterintuitive. Like, I'm underwater, I'm not supposed to be breathing. Physically I'm breathing, but psychologically I'm drowning. It's just not fun for me. And there were moments where I was like, at what point, if I don't think I can do this, can I tell them before it's like too late to change the course of the season? Whatever. I made it through. I muscled through the pool training, and I wouldn't ever say that I became confident, but I became like medium sure that I could appear on camera and like look like I wasn't dying because it's a show for 8-year-olds. Like I look like I'm having fun. So we go to Hawaii to shoot the episode, and I will say, if you have to do something that scares the living daylights out of you, like, do it in Hawaii. That helps. So we go out on the boat the day of the shoot, and it's the crew, it's the diving instructor. Like, we're heading out like in the afternoon, a sunny day in Hawaii. Like, how great is that? Like, I can't physically, just thinking about it right now, I can't physically breathe. And my co-host Charlie's like trying to pump me up. He's like, once we get down there, once we're underwater, it's gonna be so beautiful. You aren't gonna feel afraid. Like, you're not gonna feel anxious. It's gonna be great. And I'm just looking at him like, LOL, like, no. But also, he's like, it's not like the pool. It's going to be better than the pool. And he does have a point in that, like, what to see when you're in the pool in Jersey is, like, other people in class and, like, gross little hairs floating by. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess maybe it's going to be better than that. But anyway, we get ready to start our shoot day. And the camera crew hits the water first. And I'm, like, on the edge of the boat. And when you walk off the boat to like go for a dive with all your gear, they have you walk like straight off, like Daffy Duck style, like, or it also feels like you're walking the plank, just like you go straight off. So I take my last breath of air on land, and then I Daffy Duck my way off the edge of this boat into the water, and I start to descend, 10 feet, 20 feet. We've now passed the pool depth. 30 feet, 40 feet, 50 feet, underwater. And I am breathing from a tube on my back. And I start to look around, and like, Charlie's right. It's astonishing. It's stunning. It's beautiful. There are colors. There's coral. It's like this whole world, this whole neighborhood underwater. Everybody's hanging out. By everyone, I mean the fish. And I'm just a part of the scene. And I'm like stunned. There's all kinds of wild things to look at. In particular, I remember this little thing that looked like a shrimp wearing a polka dot dress. That later they told me was kind of a rare thing to see. So I'm seeing the sights and I'm swimming around. I'm mugging to the camera. I'm feeling so confident. I'm like, you did it, girl. You pushed through your fears. And we go to get the last shot of the day. And they want to replicate one of the things that we did during our training in the ocean. And this exercise is where you practice breathing from your buddy's extra regulator, because every dive suit has 2 regulators, just in case something goes wrong for one person. It's like, oh, this person has an extra. Great. Again, these little tips and tricks to have in your back pocket to save your own life. So we set up for the shot. My instructor comes into frame and cuts the air on my tank. That's part of it. And I am such a professional at this point, and I'm feeling great. I take my little air gauge and wave it to the camera it's empty, and put it back, and I go to grab Charlie's extra air source, and I put it in my mouth, and I breathe in, and it's all bubbles. And I'm and I breathe in again, and it's all bubbles. And I'm okay, I'm 50 feet underwater. I can't shoot back up because my lungs will explode. Also the cameras are rolling. This is bad. This is very bad. And I look over at the instructor and I go to grab his air source because I'm okay, maybe there's something wrong with Charlie's. And as I grab his regulator and put it towards my mouth, I realize that I've actually made a mistake. When you put a regulator in your mouth, you have to press this button on the outside to clear out the bubbles. It's called purging, so I'd forgotten to purge. So by the time I have the instructor's regulator in my mouth, I remember to purge, I clear the bubbles, I take a deep breath, and I start to calm down. And so I'm breathing from the instructor's extra air source. He has taken Charlie's extra air source to see if it was broken or whatever. So he's breathing from Charlie's extra air source, and Charlie's clutching me for dear life. So we're in this little panic pretzel. And I underwater, and I look to the director and I make the hand motion because we can't talk because we're underwater. So I make this hand motion for let's do it again. And he's mm-mm. And in my head, I've been working with him for 6 months, so I'm oh my God, he wants to use this. He wants to keep this in the show. Okay, so we're floating back to the surface, and you have to take your time again so your lungs don't explode. And I'm how am I gonna frame this when we get above water so that we can talk about what just happened in a way that will be palatable for an 8-year-old? Because what I wanna say is I almost died. So we get back onto the boat, and we're chit-chatting about what went down, and I'm well, I was really nervous to do this. I was really afraid, but I practiced, I did my training, and something went wrong, and I remembered my training, and everything was okay. So I give that little arc, and I give it to the camera, and I'm that's good for an 8-year-old. And then I'm that's good for me too, actually. It's okay. I made it through, it's okay. And so we do 2 more dives after that, and they are also okay. It's the worst possible thing that could have happened. So now, I can do it. I can scuba dive. And the whole thing they left in the episode, I mean, they made it so it's not as scary, but it's just wild to me that I have this piece of evidence that exists for this time I did this crazy thing. It's very cool. So I'm still working in children's media, but I will say that I'm working almost exclusively in podcasts these days. So I rarely leave the comfort of my audio booth, and that's just fine for me for now. But the next time I have to do something on camera or in real life that is crazy scary, I know I can probably do it, and it will probably be okay. Thank you.
Carly Ciarrocchi, everybody.